Hey everybody, you're watching We the Fandom, where we discuss comic books, pop culture, and the fandom experience. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to see more content. How's it going everybody? Jacob here at We the Fandom. It's been a while. I'm currently in the process of moving, so I'm recording a few videos in advance and we'll release them periodically over the next week or so, so that in case I don't have internet right away, you'll have a few videos to watch. But today I'm going to be doing a comic book review of Juggernaut issue number 2, and it's going to be technically a week late because of the recording in advance, but I really wanted to cover this comic, so here we go. Juggernaut number 2, which was supposed to have the battle between Juggernaut and his new armor and the Immortal Hulk. And it was kind of interesting because it kind of went over more of the struggle of Cain Marko and his new Juggernaut powers rather than the fight between himself and the Hulk. But basically, this starts off with the idea that this chick he meant, D-Cell, in the previous issue, where she has like the powers to slow down kinetic energy, and she has a Urox channel, which is basically a YouTube channel. And basically, she tells Juggernaut that the public sees him as either a bad good guy or a good bad guy, and that he needs to clean up his image. In order to do that, he should help take down the Immortal Hulk, because there's a group of people out there who are basically victims of the Hulk, and they're looking for closure for the Hulk's crimes. And to do this, she's also enlisting the help of Damage Control, which I explained in the last issue is basically a company that goes around and cleans up after the fights between superheroes and supervillains. But they get into this fight, and the Hulk is basically being thrashed the entire time. And actually, hold on a second. Let me see. Yeah, the Hulk is getting thrashed, and it's kind of weird because in the past, the only time the Hulk has ever been able to really do this much damage to the Juggernaut is back in the 90s when he was wearing celestial armor given to him by the character Apocalypse. Because historically, the Juggernaut, his powers are based on magic, and he has a number of abilities that have to do with like enhanced strength, durability, and immortality. But his main thing is that he's always been unstoppable, because as soon as he gains momentum, you literally can't stop him. That's his whole thing. And the only time that he's ever been stopped by the Hulk even is with the celestial armor. And so obviously Juggernaut's wearing different armor than he normally is, so we kind of assume that his powers are different. And the Hulk is also different. There's been many different iterations of the Hulk where he has had split personality disorder and different personalities coming forth as the Hulk. And so this one's pretty different. I would say he's a little bit stronger than some of his former iterations, not all of them. But the Juggernaut is just getting the crap beat out of him, and he can't really hold his own. And it actually takes the help of D-Cell to help stop the Hulk. But first, it goes back into a little flashback. As I mentioned in the last issue, Cain Marko, the Juggernaut, at some point had gotten stuck in the dimension Limbo, where he had to give up his armor after losing his Juggernaut powers. After he escaped Limbo, he was put into a hospital where he was visited by his stepbrother, Charles Xavier. His stepbrother visited him as an astral projection and basically was trying to figure out if he was okay. And Cain Marko was basically talking to him, but because he wasn't actually there, one of the, I forgot what you'd call them, like a nurse or whatever, walks in and thinks he's talking to him, thinks he's just like a crazy man talking to himself. But it's interesting because Juggernaut basically says, like, hey, are you here to check up on me so that I'd be all right soon to come back to the island and return to the X-Men? And this goes into the current landscape of the X-Men. They're basically living on a living island called Krakoa, and they get there through these portals, and the portals only allow mutants to go through. So even though they're stepbrothers, Cain Marko is not a mutant. He gets his Juggernaut powers from a magical gemstone. And so Xavier basically says, like, hey, I know you're turning over a new leaf, and I believe in you to make the right choices, but you're not a mutant, so basically you're not coming back to Krakoa with us. And then that basically just goes back into the battle. D-Cell uses her power to slow kinetic energy against the Hulk, and she's like, wow, he's so much stronger than you. Like, what the hell are you even doing in this battle? And she's terrified of the Hulk, but she has to step in to stop Juggernaut from being pounded into, she calls, a pile of yogurt. It's kind of a weird description, but it's kind of funny. There's a little, where is that? There's a little joke in here where she talks about how the Juggernaut is so much weaker, and they basically needed her powers as well as the power of a gamma siphon to basically leech some of the Hulk's strength from him in order to defeat him. And she says, basically, when Juggernaut takes Hulk down, she says, sounds like breaking glass, but that was the Hulk's jaw. Or Juggernaut's hand. With Cain's luck, probably his hand. Hanging with him the last few weeks, I realized good news, you get to play in the NFL. Bad news, it's with the New York Jets. And I really like that joke because it's a refreshing joke compared to what we've had in Marvel Comics for, I'd say, the past decade, where usually writers make a lot of cringy jokes, or they spend a lot of off time in the comic talking about food. It's like, hey, millennials like food, right? So we're just going to talk a lot about that. It's like, okay, we get it. And I don't know. I personally enjoyed that. It was nice to see a kind of a sports joke in there. But basically, Damage Control takes the Hulk back to a place in North Carolina, and all these people show up, and this is basically a session for all these people to get closure. All these victims of the Hulk who come by, he's stuck in this stasis box, and they're basically saying like, hey, you showed up to this area and my father had a heart attack because he was scared of you and he died, or you destroyed my house, or you destroyed my business, or you killed this person that I loved, or something like that. And the whole time that this is going on, he's just smiling. And then at some point, he basically breaks out and says like, hey, at first I thought this was like a organized effort from some like enemy organization, but now I realize this is just like a bad episode of Dr. Phil. He's like, I let you guys get out your feelings and all that, but now I'm going to leave. And he also mentions the fact that basically all the things that you're accusing me of, I'm the Hulk. I'm a guy who transforms into a monster with the mind of a child, so I'm not really responsible for my actions. On the other hand, Juggernaut over there, he might be pretending to be a good guy now, but he's done all the same things that I have in the past, and he is actually like, he's a grown man. He knows exactly what he's always known exactly what he's doing. And that's interesting because he's basically right. Like, as much damage as the Hulk has done and the lives that he's taken, the Hulk has always, for most of the time, been of the identity of like a child in the body of a giant monster just breaking loose. Whereas the Juggernaut has had nearly the same powers, but he's always had his mental faculties. He's not the smartest guy, but he's a grown adult knowing exactly what he's doing, and he's always been kind of a villain. And so he basically has this moment where he says like, yeah, the Hulk's basically right. Like, I spent my whole life basically destroying stuff and hurting people. And that's kind of how the issue ends. So that's why I said it kind of focuses more on the Juggernaut's personal feelings about his own powers and his history and his struggling to get through that, as well as trying to figure out how to get back with the X-Men, versus the battle. The battle was actually pretty short. It was not nearly as epic as I was hoping, and the Juggernaut is severely depowered. I'm hoping by the end of the series he gets his full powers back. And once again, I'd like to say, why is the cover art so much better than the art inside the comic? I mean, come on. The comic would be so much better. Whether or not I don't like the battles in the story, which is kind of the main point of a Juggernaut series, the cover art is amazing. They really need to step up the work on the inside. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you guys are new to We the Fandom, please hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, please smash the like. And if you have comics that you would like to hear about in the future, please leave a comment below.